Hello, everybody. Artistry and Finesse with you. Post-game on Wednesday night. We're live on GTOG Radio. A seminal moment for the blog, Finesse.
Yeah, this is really amazing. I'm really just hoping at this point that people can hear both of our voices instead of just one, because I'm very nervous about this. This is sort of a dry run for the live podcast. And before we get into it, we should sort of explain what our intention is with this, which is to go live after the playoffs, after every playoff game, and kind of react live and maybe even create a scenario where we could take questions on Twitter or, God forbid we get so good at this that we can have people join us on Skype.
I feel so vulnerable right now.
I know. There's no safety net. Like anything you say, if you get into one of your laughing fits, where you start laughing at something very immature for like 10 minutes, and you can't edit it like you would normally do.
Right.
What people don't understand is that you get in these laughing fits, and tonight it seems unlikely because you don't have the scotch with the ice cubes kind of dangling around that everybody can hear.
You never know.
Right. There's some good stuff. We have some good stuff to talk about, so it might get emotional in a good way tonight.
Let me ask you this question. There's a lot to unpack here. But did you ever think at this point, in the wake of all these trades, that Brendan Morrow would not just be a complementary piece on this team, but really the central figure on this team right now, which is what he is? A
dominant force by any measure. He's an absolute dominant force tonight and for the last couple games. Do you think that if Shiro if he had known that he could get Morrow and Iginla, he would have traded for both of them or just one?
If he would have known, in other words, you're asking me if he knew that Iginla was going to be coming down the pike, would he have pulled the trigger on Morrow? I don't know the answer to that. That's not the way things unfolded. That's not the way life works, Finesse. You take things as they come. I can only tell you this.
Hypotheticals. I shouldn't be speaking in hypotheticals.
I'm glad it happened. I think that Iginla's playing the perfect role right now. He's not going to be a pest in the way Morrow is. He's not going to be involved physically in the way Morrow has been. But I'll tell you what, at the end of this playoff run, we're going to look back and Jerome Iginla is going to be a point-a-game player.
Right. He's going to have pretty much unlimited big goals. And what I like about it is that you almost forget that he's on the team like 5 or 6 times a night. And then all of a sudden someone's ripping a wrist shot that basically like would kill the goalie if it hit him in the mask. And like, oh, that's Jerome Iginla. He's actually on the Penguins. I totally forgot he was on the Penguins.
Yeah, you block it out. And it's a bit of a fallacy to pose the question, would you take both Iginla and Morrow if you knew you would have one? Because they're completely different players, and they're having a completely different impact on the team. Both of them are having a great impact, I think.
Yeah, Morrow's been great. We've been looking for this for a long time, which is the guy who can like get in front of the net, screw around with a goalie, and usually do it in a way that doesn't draw penalties. Like Kunitz has kind of done it, but he's sort of he's a smaller guy. He gets goals waved off constantly. I think he had like 8 goals waved off in that Flyer series. Morrow is like your traditional Thomas Holmstrom. Like in a 7-game series, he's going to be hateable for the other team. Absolutely detestable to play against.
Yeah, he all eyes are on him. That's what he does. Even if he's not scoring, he's going to be incredibly effective if he plays this way.
And the reason that's so great with the Penguins now is that he can do just that and not have to worry about the other stuff that comes along with it, like being the captain or actually scoring goals. Like if he's just being disruptive, that's enough. That's all he needs to be here for, because we have so many other guys that can actually finish the plays and get the goals.
Do you worry at all? And we've been in this situation before with Malkin and or Crosby out of the lineup. The team starts to gel, come together a little bit without them, And then they come back, and it's too trite to say that, everybody relaxes and relies on Malkin or Crosby to carry the team. But, there is an adjustment period when these guys come back into the lineup. And do you worry about the timing of that and the role that we're on not being sustainable when they do come back?
Yes, I worry about it very much. And
how much do you worry about it?
I'm actually more worried about the first round of the playoffs than I am about the second or the third round of the playoffs. Because this team can get on a run and can go on a long, sustained run. But there might be, like you said, a little bit of growing pains when Crosby and Malkin come back. I'm worried about it. I got to be honest. Like, I could see us going 7 in the first round and then winning in 5 games in the second and third round.
Yeah, the thing that gives me some comfort is even if Crosby and Malkin's lines are not clicking on all cylinders, we have such a rock-solid bottom 6 right now that will just grind people down. You got a dryer going there?
Yeah,
What's
my
happening?
clothes are done.
During the debut of GTOG Radio, you're doing laundry?
Look, this is what happens when you go live. Unpredictable things can happen. Who even knew that I had the dryer going?
I keep thinking, that Bill O'Reilly clip where he's like, we'll do it live.
Yeah. I know it well.
Play
us out. What does that mean, play us out?
When you look at the standings right now, the Rangers and Winnipeg are sort of vying. They're the teams that have sort of separated themselves as battling for that 8th slot. Because the Islanders, I think, are 3 up on the Rangers right now. And still, people can change positions. But if you look at the Rangers' schedule, it's the easiest final 5 games that you could ever imagine.
Right, and they have a game in hand on the Islanders, so they could actually bump up into the 7 or maybe even the 6.
They could, and I'm kind of hoping for that because I'm not sure I'd be very comfortable seeing them.
Right, I don't want to play the Rangers, but I don't see the Rangers at this point coming into the playoffs as a hot team. Like that's what you worry about with the 8 seed, right? Is it that somebody who kind of catches fire late in the year,
or a really hot goalie, right?
Right, and I guess Lundqvist could be that, but I mean, do they really? I don't know. I'm worried about the first round, but then I look at each individual team and I'm like, well, the Penguins are better than that team. And the fact is, like, you can be an unbiased observer. We're obviously biased, but any unbiased person would look at whoever the Penguins play in the first round and be like, the Penguins are better than this team.
Sure,
and should win the series.
History is replete with similar circumstances where teams are clearly better up and down the roster and they lose.
Right, so that's why you just don't want to play a hot team. And like if the Rangers somehow sputter into the 8th seed and they're not playing well, then I wouldn't be as worried about it as if they had gotten hot and won their last 7 in a row. Because now they have 6 games left. If they win their last 6 games now, they're not going to finish in the 8th seed. Probably they'd move up to 6 or 7.
Right. One encouraging thing I thought tonight was that Brandon Sutter shed his cloak of invisibility.
Who are you talking about?
Brandon Sutter.
I'm not familiar. Who is that?
He's a center that will, on occasion, make himself known on the third line of the Penguins with an odd goal in the last couple minutes of a game.
You're talking about the Sutter, the coach of the Kings, right?
No, he wears 16 for the Penguins.
16 for the Penguins.
Lanky, tall and lanky individual. In any event, he scored 2 goals tonight.
Bo Bennett, number 19, right?
No, it's Brandon Sutter.
18, James Neal, right?
No, we're not thinking about the same person. This guy we had high hopes for coming into the season. As a matter of fact, we said embarrassingly fawning things about him, I think, in our season preview. And he's had his moments, but he's gone through long periods of doing nothing, including the last 10 games where he had no goals, I think. And tonight he had 2. So familiarize yourself with him because he may be an important figure in the playoffs. I expect him to elevate his game.
I think how you described it is perfect. He has his moments.
Yeah.
Like he's not a consistent, noticeable, dominant player by any stretch. He has his moments.
Meaning like 5 seconds on a given night. You'll know he's there.
Right, but he could score 2 goals in those 5 seconds,
Yeah,
and that's fine.
yeah.
That's all
It's
you
like a
need.
snake in the grass, Brandon Sutter. I really do believe that he has something in his blood that will cause his game to elevate in the playoffs. I don't know why I have this feeling about him, but I just feel good about him this playoff
He
year.
just seems like one of those guys. He
He
seems like a
does.
guy who's going to pick it up in the playoffs.
You mentioned Bo Bennett. So do we have a dilemma here if everybody gets healthy as to where and if he plays? Because I look at that guy. That guy's like a wizard with the puck. I couldn't be more impressed with him.
I don't think there's a dilemma. I think he has to play. What's the dilemma? Him or Tanner Glass, right?
I'm afraid that the coaching staff doesn't share our view. I think they see a very real dilemma with Bo Bennett. Actually, they may not, but they may resolve this non-dilemma in a different way than we would. It may be a no-brainer for them to play Tanner Glass based on how everything's gone so far.
The only possible justification for dressing Glass over Bennett is because Glass will play on the penalty kill. And Bennett
Right.
doesn't. And Glass can maybe eat up a minute or two a night on the penalty kill. But I'm looking at the box score tonight. Tanner Glass played 10 seconds shorthanded tonight out of 10
We have
minutes.
plenty of penalty killers. Dupuis, Cook, Sutter, Juice Jokinen, to name 4. Craig Adams. How many penalty killers do we need?
Well, hopefully not that many in the playoffs. I mean,
Did
the only thing is maybe you want to save Dupuis so he doesn't have to kill penalties, but
Did Juice get hurt tonight, by the way?
he only played 7 minutes, so yeah, he must have gotten hurt.
Oh, that's not good.
Well, that's another reason why this whole Bennett thing might not be a dilemma, because there's always somebody hurt in the playoffs. Like
Right.
that
Right.
you could be healthy through the whole playoffs is an unrealistic expectation.
Is it me, or is there some kind of serious magic happening between Bennett and Morrow? The last couple games, they've really been playing very well together, I feel.
Do you know that each of them only played about 14 minutes tonight? It seems like they were so much more noticeable than that.
They were. I mean, that's the key, right? I mean, those guys, Brendan Morrow, the camera could not have been on Brendan Morrow tonight anymore. This was like a soap opera starring Brendan Morrow.
What did you think about Crankshaft's goal tonight?
It was a thing of beauty. I mean, Crankshaft, not many guys can aim for the inner thigh of a defenseman, bank it off of them, upper corner, short side, over Carey Price's shoulder. And Crankshaft is one of those people.
As scared as we are of maybe a first-round matchup against the Rangers, how scared do you think the Rangers are of facing a red-hot Douglas Murray in the first round?
They don't want to play us, the Rangers. I don't think it's completely accurate to say I'm afraid to play the Rangers. I'm not. It's just a matter of preference. You know, it's who you think you're going to match up with best in the first round of the playoffs, and you have to respect at least the personnel on the Rangers. With an established goalie like Lundqvist and a seasoned coach, you know, a really solid defense, particularly if Mark Stahl is able to get back. You know, you just have to respect them. I don't fear them.
So it would have to be Ottawa or Winnipeg that you'd prefer for the first round, right? And I guess the Islanders, but the Islanders have a little bit of talent. So
Islanders are a little bit scary just because of their power play. But yeah, I think that's right. If I had to choose, I would go Winnipeg would be my first choice, probably Ottawa second, then the Islanders, then the Rangers.
see, the reason that I'd be more scared of the Islanders than probably Ottawa or the Rangers is that I think the Pens' biggest vulnerability is still a defensive and goaltending letdown than getting stopped or stymied by a hot goalie like Craig Anderson in Ottawa or Lundqvist with the Rangers.
Right.
It's not to say it can't happen, but the Penguins have 4 really, really good lines, 2 really, really good power plays. But the one vulnerability and the one wild card is Fleury, and then a defense that we think is improved, but is it improved enough that it can keep like a really good top player like a Tavares or Matt Molson